Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Friday Night Frenzy, where everything is canon, and the topics, they're more like
guidelines than actual rules.
So, joining me today is the usual members of the DK crew. First, we got...
And I have my mind, and a mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone.
Hey,
How you doing? How you doing, Chris?
it's Friday.
It's Friday, biatch! All right, let's bring in the second member of the DK. Yes, that is a bit I'm doing every week.
Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
Oh, hello there.
Hi. So going forward, Jared is going to be on an every other week schedule. See, he has this thing called a life, and we made an arrangement. But let's bring in the last member of this DK crew.
I don't care.
Hey, Nix, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty cool. So let's say hi to some people. We got Keely. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good, brother. So what's up with you? And then Movie Theater says, you know what's funny? I have now 3 novel ideas I'm pursuing, but to completely change my comic project. Yeah, writing is it's crazy. I have so many ideas that I had to like stop myself from creating more. Otherwise, I just have like this mountain of undeveloped projects. It is insane. Yeah, so what's everyone been up to?
Been reading a metric crap ton of comics. I read Tom King's debut issue on Wonder Woman. It was surprisingly good, a little heavy-handed at certain parts, but overall, the potential is there for a really good series.
Mm-hmm. So we got a few kind of small topics to go through, and then we'll get to like the main event here. So first off, I watched the Dungeons and Dragons movie this week. It was kind of like
nice.
a whim. Basically, I was at my local library. They had the Blu-ray there. I was like, why not? Mm-hmm. And I got to be honest with you, it wasn't bad.
I liked it.
I liked it. I thought it was really fun.
It didn't blow my socks off. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but it was entertaining and minimally cringy, which if we're grading on a curve is freaking phenomenal.
I have a funny story for this. So you were live tweeting watching this movie. So I was just scrolling through Twitter. Then all of a sudden I come across a tweet by Nick that says, "Is that Bradley Cooper as a halfling?" So I was like, "What?" I was like, "Wait, what did I miss?" And then I scrolled up and I was like, "Oh yeah, he's watching that. Okay, that makes sense."
Yeah, like that scene just kind of came out of nowhere. Like I think
even my dad and I were like, "Wait, is that Bradley Cooper?"
It was just so unnecessary. That scene was so unnecessary.
I like the autistic
Bradley Cooper.
paladin.
Don't complain.
What'd you say, Chris?
I like the autistic paladin. This guy is like such a badass, and he doesn't get basic conversational. Like he just totally like levies or levels his entire undead army or whatever. Fights off dragons and all this shit. And like Chris Pine's bard character is like, so blah blah blah. And he's like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's like perfect in everything except for basic social cues.
So what you're saying is charisma is intelligence is his dump stat.
Yeah. Oh man. Or remember when the illusion started failing, dude? I freaking lost it.
Yeah. Like like you can really tell they wrote this movie as if it was a bunch of teenagers doing a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally is. I've watched enough D&D campaigns to realize what that looks like.
Oh, that was
and I guarantee you, Rodriguez's character, the PC is a dude. I guarantee you.
That was my only gripe. Was like all the male characters were made female, and all the female characters were made male. Like,
I don't think Chris Pine's character wasn't really like the wizard was kind of emasculated, but like Chris Pine's character, I don't really feel like he was like terribly emasculated.
Nah, not
he's
really.
He's your comic relief. Like the rule of feminized fiction now is no man, especially a straight white man, can be masculine and like stoic and straight, like, or a straight man, not sexually, just like a straight man. You know, he's got to be a comic relief. He's got to be evil, or he's got to be like subservient and or stupid.
And the one like masculine dude, the paladin.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. I don't like going into the politics as long as they're if they're beating you over the head with it, if they kind of shove it in and it's cringy, then I complain. But honestly, I try not to look too hard at this kind of stuff because I just want to be entertained. The movie entertained me, and like, is there some such a critique? Yeah, but honestly, I've seen a lot worse things.
Yeah.
It was less like, for lack of a better term, woke than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Yeah.
Now
it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, you want to talk stuff that like that is coming up that are so woke that I just don't want to get engaged. Netflix unveils. Do you see like the stuff that Netflix unveiled, their upcoming slate?
Yeah.
Like we got Tomb Raider, Devil May Cry, Scott Pilgrim, Castlevania.
No thanks.
Like so I'm a huge Castlevania fan. That is like my favorite video game series.
I would never have known that.
sorry.
Cue my Zack Snyder dweeb clip right about now.
All right, Jared. You got you.
I missed that thing.
I try not to play it too much, but you know, doses. But anyway, like with the other series, the first two seasons were great. The second two seasons were kind of went off a hill, but I trudged through it. But like I saw the previews and like they just race swapped a bunch of the characters where they're unrecognizable. They literally like, oh, we're gonna do French Revolution, but totally not get the whole plot of it, and it's just so cringy. And I'm just like, I just chose not to engage.
What black people in Romania? That they're noted for being in Romania, you know.
See, that's the thing where it's like they're beating you over the head with it. They're making it painfully obvious that they have an agenda, and I'm like, no.
Yep. Yeah, like that's why I didn't mind like the black, you know, like, oh, you just hate black characters. It's like, no, dude, the paladin in the Dungeons and Dragons was a black guy, and generally I don't like seeing black people in European medieval armor. But this is Dungeons and Dragons. It's not European medieval, you know.
This is the one place where they can get away with it.
Game.
Yep.
It's a role-playing game.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, and it made like it worked there. But like when you start having like you know, like I don't know, like Game of Thrones has its own ethnic rules, or even just our basic history where there's
like this is the problem I have. Like like Wheel of Time. Like this is a problem I have with Wheel of Time. So I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan. Really? And when I saw that they had, okay, this is gonna sound like really crazy, like they had all like black people in the Two Rivers. No, like Black Two Rivers was a homogenous society, like so much so that like the old blood ran strong in the Two Rivers. Like it is an old society. Like this is like a region that had intermingled with the outside world for thousands of years. You know, like that is a big part of that lore. And later on,
very isolationist.
Yeah, and they look like a Benetton Ed.
like later on, people came, like immigrants came and they got integrated, but like not right from the start, you know. And that's just like the worst thing I can say. The worst, like whenever I hear creators like, oh, we need to add some diversity, like we need to you know, we need to add some color to this. Like I don't like it when they do diversity for diversity's sake.
The other problem is I was talking to a fellow content creator because the current Hawkgirl series that DC is doing is abysmal, and they're the writer is hinting that she's gonna make Hawkgirl into girls, and we were like, the problem with that is that literally the most essential part of Hawkgirl's lore is that she's eventually supposed to end up with Hawkman. You can't do that.
Like you want to make Wonder Woman bisexual? Okay, fine. There's you could probably hand wave that.
There's an argument. It's it's like Zack Snyder on Wonderbat. When you actually do the wargaming through it, it doesn't work.
Well, I'm just saying because like Wonder Woman was raised in a society with all women. Like he was raised where that's fine. Like her being bisexual, I could be okay with that.
Well, you know the name of the island in historical Greek folklore or whatever. The name of the island of the Amazons was called Lesbos. That's where we get the word lesbian from. So.
Oh, my favorite. To quote with your two. My favorite type of magic, lesbomancy. Dear God, they would never get away with that joke today. By the way, that actually happened in the game in Witcher 2.
Lesbomancy. Urge
Okay,
to scissor.
All right. I gotta grab the clip. So somebody talk while I do this.
Well, you don't have a special wizard class in Dungeons and Dragons that makes people super horny like what was that movie with the guys from South Park there, Orgasmo?
All right.
Oh God.
My favorite type of magic, lesbomancy.
Even jabbed his crotch.
They actually did that. That actually happened. Witcher 2, by the way, for anyone who wants to check out that scene for themselves, that's Witcher 2.
For research.
Yeah.
Research purposes, of course.
Yeah, strictly research.
But yeah, like
But the thing is, Nick, and this gets back to my issue with like the Halo show, is that they change so much because they're not creative enough to come up with their own story. So what they do is they take someone else's IP, change the details to what they want, and then they like package it as, oh no, it's still the IP that you know and love. We just changed it.
Yeah,
like that's a problem. Like that's a problem I have with the Castlevania Nocturne, where they're basing it off of Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which the villain of that is the Dark Priest Shaft. I mean, make whatever dirty jokes you want to make.
You're damn right.
Okay. But that leads into Symphony of the Night, like which is like the Castlevania game. Mm-hmm. The problem is, the villain is Elizabeth Bathory, who she isn't a villain until Castlevania Bloodlines, literally a game that takes place 200 years later. Because Castlevania Bloodlines take place during World War I, and that that whole thing. Which, by the way, Bloodlines is a prequel to Portrait of Ruin for the DS. By the way, so in case you wanted to get that.
Yeah, there's no Belmonts in that one either.
Also, Bloodlines is a sequel to the Dracula. Sorry, I love Castlevania lore.
Yeah, but
there's 404.
In Bloodlines, there's nobody named Belmont. Like, it's definitely not Richter. Richter is long before been dead.
Okay.
Since that.
All right. Here's your lesson. All right. So basically, because Richter allowed himself to get corrupted, he was made unworthy of the Belmont whip, and so the whip was passed to the Morris clan, which, like John Morris was a character in the Dracula books. There's your connection right there.
Yeah.
And so the Morris clan carried the vampire killer whip for like over 100 years, and then you had like the Morris and Portrait of Ruin. Basically, the thing is, the vampire killer whip was able to use by the Morris clan, but it was like it slowly kills them. So basically, in Portrait of Ruin, they actually uncorrupt the whip. So that's why by the Demon Castle War of 1999, Julius Belmont is able to use a vampire killer whip, which Julius Belmont is the one you see in Dawn of Sorrow. Nerd!
No, well, I mean, wait, was Morris the Texan who killed Dracula with the Bowie knife?
I think so.
Quincy Morris.
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that character, they were the holders of the vampire kill. That's like the Dracula novel is canon to the Castlevania timeline.
Hell yeah.
Like that novel actually happened, and then the Morrises were in Bloodlines, and then that leads into Portrait of Ruin, which Portrait of Ruin takes place during World War II. Oh my God, I'm such a nerd. Dear God.
No, but
really?
It's sad that there are people who are being paid six-figure salaries, and you just did their job for them.
Well, here's the problem for a lot of these people, and you see in all these adaptations, the lore is an obstacle to them. The lore is
Yep.
an inconvenience. It is getting in the way of them telling the story that they want. Like, why do we why is it like with all these stories like, oh, all of a sudden Sabine's a Jedi, like, she's a Jedi now, anyone can be a Jedi, you know, like, it's because they wanted to make Sabine a Jedi, but oh wait, she's not Force sensitive, oh, who cares, let's do it anyway, kind of thing.
That's so dumb.
Watch what they'll probably do. Here's what they're going to do, because Sabine has yet to demonstrate any Force abilities. What they'll do, so they can say Sabine is a Jedi, they'll retcon it. So, you don't have to be you don't have to use the Force to be a Jedi. You can just be a lightsaber
Yep.
Jedi.
That's what they're saying. I saw an article on that. They're saying anybody can be a Jedi now.
Like I don't mind. Like, it used to be only Jedi could wield lightsabers. I don't mind tweaking the lore that like people who have training can wield lightsabers, because we saw Finn use a lightsaber in Force Awakens, and I didn't mind that because he's a soldier. He was trained to use weapons, so it's like I could buy the fact that he can use the lightsaber. Or even Bo-Katan using the Darksaber, which is a lightsaber. Like, I don't mind people being able to use a lightsaber like a sword. Like, that's fine. It's just the Force is really the big thing.
Yeah, it's a Jedi thing. Like it's a religious or at the very least, it's like saying everybody's a magic user.
Because here's the thing, because remember in episode 1 when Qui-Gon brought Anakin before the council and they told them, no, we're not going to allow you to train him, he's too old.
Yep.
But by this logic, they should have just been, all right, the more the merrier.
Yep, exactly.
Well, to be fair, Luke, like, if Anakin was too old, Luke was way
too old. Luke was a senior in that.
Like,
idea.
here's what you need to consider. Okay, by the time that Luke started training, like, Luke was the age that Anakin was when he became Darth Vader. When he started training, you got to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Attack of the Clones, he's 19, and the Clone Wars last roughly about 3 or so years. So Anakin is 22, 23 when he becomes Darth Vader, and I know Luke is roughly like 20, 22. So like Luke was roughly the age that Anakin had already betrayed the Jedi Order when he started. So you kind of think about that.
John.
Yeah.
Well,
by the way,
Gosh.
I just want to say congratulations to John on getting monetized. Awesome.
Hey!
Yeah, dude. Woohoo!
He's in chat, so I wanted to extend that congratulations to him. Congratulations,
good on you,
brother.
man.
That's for you. But yeah, like, did any of you guys see like the Tomb Raider or Devil May Cry trailer?
I saw the Tomb Raider thing.
one.
I did. I am not impressed.
Same here. Why does Lara have a bow?
Because that's the way she did in like the most recent games, and Hollywood's anti-gun. That's why.
Well, then they defeated the whole purpose of Lara Croft, because she's
it's true.
Pistol wielding badass. Like,
They don't want her. They don't want a woman. They don't want a hero to be dependent on firearms. That's what it is.
yeah.
Okay, I will say,
Equalizer.
when it comes to the Survivor trilogy, the most recent one, I will defend them using a bow, because in those situations, she's trying to survive out the wild. So a bow being part of her arsenal makes sense. I don't agree with her being her marquee weapon. I think the Desert Eagle, because she gets stripped of her weapons like 3 times each game. So
Well, that and like what always bothers me, like there's like as somebody that's a huge, like, how you're a Castlevania nerd. Well, I'm like a medieval weapons and various forms of sword play and weaponry, like all that shit. That's my nerd kind of grindhouse. And like I hate when people use the term melee to refer to close quarters combat, because a melee could be with a gun. You could be shooting somebody from far away. That could be a melee. Melee just means a confused brawl with no actual like formations. But like,
wait. Did you say melee and brawl in the same sentence?
Yes, I did. Settle it and smash.
I was literally just about to say that, so you read my mind, brother.
But the thing that bothers me about archery is that archery is not a dexterity thing that Dungeons and Dragons makes it out to be. Archery is a strength thing.
Oh yes.
Like anyone who's even like looked into bows could be like, oh, there's like a bow has like a 190
pound
draw.
Yeah.
Like that's why like even me, like my minimal knowledge of bows, when I see in the movies when they're holding it back for like
Yeah, that
minutes at a
hurts.
time. Yeah,
I studied archery, dude. Like, I have a medieval war bow. I have it straight out. It's yew and everything, or wood, basically. And yeah, it's got like 120-pound drawback on it. Like all those pulleys and wheels and shit that we see in modern compound bows, even those are hard until you get past like that point where it gives way. And even then, you're not going to be this wafy little girl with arms as thick as my wrist, like pulling that sucker back. You're going to be struggling, especially after the third or fourth shot.
I remember I grabbed a bow. I remember my first time grabbing a bow, and I had it all set. And and it was so hard. I was like, why can't I be Legolas?
I wish I could pull. I wish I had this video in hand. But I remember watching this video of like this one, like this girl had to be like 16 years old, and she was at like some sort of like Renaissance fair or something, and she was pulling a bow back, and she was like in like like a gown or something, and she pulled it back, and it snapped onto her boob, like
That's
like
gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Did you know that a lot of like I don't know if this is actually like what if this is like either fantasy
Yeah, they chop
show.
it.
Yeah, they chop one of their boobs off because of that.
Well, I think that's actually what the word Amazon means. One-breasted woman.
Which Gal, to tell you a funny story, I recently heard when Gal was casted as Wonder Woman for the first time, people were complaining, believe it or not, of her boob size, that she can't play Wonder Woman. So she goes, "Okay, if we went 100% anatomically correct like Wonder Woman, I would have one boob, and that's gonna be really complicated."
I'm sure somewhere out there's someone who's into that shit. So
I'm sure. Hey, in Total Recall, we had 3 boobs.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to have to take up Gal on that. I'm going to need to inspect further. This is purely for research.
No, but the funny part in the remake...
Get in line!
The funny part about the remake for Total Recall is that there's literally no reason for the 3-boob girl, because in the original one's because of mutation. In this, she just shows up, and I'm like, wait a second here.
The uniboob.
Also, silly girl, I love you. So what you're saying
had
is
a character based on Wonder Woman.
No, what
who
you're saying
only
is
had one breast.
the PS1 version of Tomb Raider is anatomically correct for Amazon.
Dude, you could
cut poke an eye out with those things.
Yeah, you could slice bread with that damn chest.
Oh, okay. I gotta pull up a picture. It's like I'm sure most.
Do you remember the Nude Raider patch that was like the greatest thing in the world for that game?
Oh, and remember in Tomb Raider 2, like they actually like seeded a code like, oh, there's a nude code in Tomb Raider 2, and he did it. And Laura just exploded.
Yeah.
Well, that's a way to handle cheers. And a funny fact. So with Arkham, in Arkham Knight, they have a very Arkham Asylum. They had this very special way of catching cheaters and like people that would like get like hacked versions of the game. What they would do, so when you would try to glide, it would actually not work, and you would just fall. And no. It gets even more elaborate. Here's how it goes into. You would Google in the forums and saying, "Hey, every time I try and glide, I just fall." And they go, "That's because." And then someone from Rocksteady would respond, "That's because you're a cheater."
Yeah, you're a pirate piece of crap.
Well, I wonder how many tries are in her chest. Like what, 2?
She only does like pec workouts.
Wait, have you ever seen? So I remember Electronics Boutique had the calendar of Lara Croft. And like you could get the calendar for like an additional $5 with any purchase of like Tomb Raider or any other IDOS game. And like the guy at the counter was trying to push it off on me, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, she's hot." And I'm like, I can draw better. Like what?
Yeah, it's like the whole nude model. When I first heard about that exists, I'm like, why? It doesn't look. It looks in no way realistic.
If I wanted to look at better boobs, I'd literally just open a Victoria's Secret ad, which by the way comes in the mail every week. Because like, okay, for those who don't know, back in the 90s, 2000s, and before that, every week you get a circular, like the Sunday Mail would be huge, and you'd have these ads for like Kmart, Best Buy. There'd always be a Victoria's Secret one, and they'd have the girls in the underwear. Remember, we didn't have access to the internet then, so we had Victoria's Secret catalog.
Yeah. Kids today are so spoiled with the hub.
The hub, the hamster, the X.
Oh God, yeah. Swole is the goal.
So anyway, how about that? How about the writer strike ending?
Oh, dude, did you hear what's in the cards for that? Like
All
part
right.
of the agreement.
Educate us, sir.
So yeah, apparently all the diversity hires are going to go. They're all out of a job.
No, gasp. You mean the people that
Don't
literally
give me
have
this hope.
contributed? You mean the people who haven't contributed anything of value since they were hired?
Well, the sad thing is even though there've been a bunch of diversity hires and everything, since they have no skill or talent to do anything, the writers that have been writing all the woke trash stuff are still there. Yeah, from what I've been hearing about the rumblings, especially like on LinkedIn and stuff, goddamn. Like a lot of people. Did you know that Epic Games laid off 900 people?
Yeah, that was all over the news about a day or two ago.
Yeah, dude, like all of our entertainment is collapsing.
I mean, it's kind of been needed. Like,
Yep.
Okay, here's the thing: this stuff is not going away. It's not like we're not going to have a game crash. All right, these companies are going to survive. I think this is something that we've needed. Like, these companies have been bloated. They got even more bloated over COVID. You know, it's like
I think we won't see a full like industry-wide game crash, but I think at least when it comes to a lot of the mainstream industries, you're definitely going to see some pain and shrinkage.
We are. Like, I have a lot of former coworkers and a lot of friends that are effed, man. Like, they are out of work and nobody's hiring. Like, they're shrinking. These companies
and you know what? The Writers Guild knew that. Like, why do you think they were pushing so hard for like the minimum writers room? Because they knew what was coming. They knew what was coming with like how bad the thing is, and they wanted to like make sure that like the diversity hires, the dead weight would be able to still be on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I heard that they're gonna try to push a video game, I don't know what the hell they were gonna call it essentially, but like a strike for like whatever for the video games, and it's like, yeah, go ahead, do that. See how easily everybody gets replaced.
Yeah. And it's like, did you hear like Capcom saying like, video game price at $70 is too cheap, it should be $150? Like, frick off.
Yeah, I'm not buying your games. Like, I haven't bought modern games since you saw my emulation stuff. Like, I have no desire to spend $70+ on a software rental, because that's all these modern games are, just software rentals.
Like, honestly, like I spent $30 on the DLC for Phantom Liberty, but that was already a game that I know I liked, and and like $30 for that DLC, that's worth it. But like, I'll wait a year or two for these games to go on sale for like $30-$40, and I'll buy them then, because there are so many games out there that I want to play, even so many retro games where it's like I can afford to wait.
Yep.
Like I bought Avengers for $4.
Nice.
Well, I mean, also, oh, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah.
Jared, what's your take?
On the interesting thing about that is that what I was paying attention to during this whole writer's strike is the whole everything the companies have been slashing. Because here's what you guys have to indicate. This is why I'm a little more happy about what the strike did, even if a lot of these other people are still there. Chris, is that again? These companies now are more focused on how much waste was like associated with a lot of this, like all the shows that should not have been greenlit were greenlit. So they're like, why the hell are we doing this? So what this could lead to is like a bunch is those people eventually being either forced to perform or being forced out. As it relates to the gaming thing, I think that's an interesting thing if it ends up with a gaming strike, because of how big the gaming industry is.
Well, here's the other problem is I hear it's just the voice actors, correct? Like that would be striking.
I hope
thought it was
so,
also
because
the writers.
If it's the developers, then it's not. They are being led into the slaughterhouse because
here's the thing.
a rude awakening.
Wait. So we can't release new games? oh, well, I guess we'll just re-release Skyrim for the 15th time, or like there are so many. Like we're already in a trend of releasing games. The audience have proven we're okay with re-releases. You know, like oh, let's do an HD remix. Like all the like for example, Namco has said a Xenosaga remaster wouldn't be good enough, but if suddenly they can't develop a new Tales game, Xenosaga, we're gonna re-release it. Like all the voice files are already there.
Well, that and like if it is just the Hollywood actors, so be it. Because if you haven't noticed, like a lot of these Hollywood actors get hired based on their name instead of their talent, and you get stuff like Ronda Rousey and that god awful Megan Fox thing in Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh god!
Like some Hollywood actors are do make good voice actors. Like obviously, the obvious example is Robin Williams. Like yes, Robin Williams was hired for his name for Aladdin. But by God, does he make that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are rare occasions where it works. It's just the problem is there's too many examples where it completely backfires.
Yeah.
And it's like the established voice actors are so much better for these roles. And the other thing is like it's also an established thing where it's like going outside of the union. Like, we can't hire Hollywood. Oh, guess we're making a trip to Canada.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know I've had a few of my placeholder voice actor lines or whatever get through to release. So there's some of my stuff in actual games as voice acting, and I'm not a professional. Like I've done voiceover, but I'm not I'm not part of any acting group or anything. I just happen to voice act.
Yeah. Like I will say the GTA 5 trilogy of people are really good. Like Stephen Ogg is a legit like movie TV star. But honestly, like Jared said, they're the exception rather than the rule.
Well, going back to something Jared was saying about like, kind of trimming the fat on these companies. One thing that I've noticed, and it kind of runs contrary to that, and I hope to God it's still not there, is that parasites get their they've infiltrated the industry and they climb their way up the corporate ladder through corporate politics. And they tend to get into positions of like, I don't want to say untouchable levels, but they'll either sail on golden parachutes to the next company, or the entire studio will go before they like detach. They're like that tick that has to get that last drop of blood from the carcass, because almost every studio that I've worked for have had these worthless freaking people making terrible decisions constantly, and they're never the ones that get laid off.
Like, why do you think, like, every time a company starts to, like, enter circle in the drain state, they go through, they go through, 3 CEOs a year? Like, they stay on for, 3 to 4 months. They try and do something, they fail, kind of thing?
Yeah, it's... Oh, God. Like, like I know they fired Kern at one point when I was working on Firefall. Like, I had left. They laid me off.
Oh, he won't shut up about that.
Yeah. I mean, how messed up is that when you are the CEO of the company and the company fires you?
So, Jared, I got a question for you. Have you heard about Jim Ryan, the CEO of Sony, retiring?
I did hear about that. That's weird. That's interesting.
What do you think about how that'll affect things? Because Sony's kind of in a weird spot.
Well, it sounds to me like there wasn't a confidence in his leadership because everything that's come out with Sony in the past. So they're like, you know what? Let's just start fresh.
Yeah. So Sharon Nix, I want to kind of get your thoughts about it. You guys have been kind of quiet, but Sony's kind of been really making a push to the American side has been kind of running things a lot. And they've been pushing for live service. How do you guys think that'll affect Sony going forward?
Well, I personally think that it's going to hurt Sony a lot in the long run, because now, granted, Sony of Japan was known for making, notoriously bad.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, he's got some touchy internet stuff.
Oh no.
Nix,
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Okay.
I
Oh.
was gonna say I'm just gonna see where it all goes. Probably not gonna be good, but Sony's kind of notorious for making weird decisions.
I'd like to throw some 2 cents in after Jared and Shiro finish theirs.
Shiro,
You can go ahead.
Yeah,
Sean
so-
didn't get to finish his thought. So
Mhm.
Yeah, so essentially, Sony of Japan was notable for making, a handful of really bad decisions, which was why it was turned over to Sony of America. But so far, from what I've seen, based off of their decision-making stuff already, it's only going to get worse from here. Because Sony, at least the PlayStation as a console, has been bleeding buyers like mad because they're making the same mistake that Microsoft is, where they're keeping maybe one, maybe two exclusives, and then everything else is going multi-plat. And they're making the mistake that Nintendo made back with the Wii era, where they're just censoring everything to high heaven, whereas Nintendo decided to do the Sony route. And so long as it's not going absolutely crazy, it's they're going to leave things as they are, and it's just bleeding everything that you can think of.
yeah, so had credit to Boosh McFadden for tagging me on this. Like,
This is so true, dude.
Yeah.
This is so true. I've been
All
Dave
right.
too many times to count.
Chris Cook.
So Sony going back to Japan is a good thing. Americanized Sony is where we're getting the censorious bullshit, where we're getting all of the California leftism crap that is turning away customers. I don't care about the political stuff. If leftism was profitable, dude, then more power to them. But it's clearly not. What bothers, like, I have friends that work over at Sony. They're in pretty big high positions too, and SCEA down in San Diego. But yeah, dude, like, what we've seen is very, how do I explain this? It's very myopic. The idea of Sony is about selling hardware. They're not really a software guy. They are, but their main focus has always been hardware. They have so many patents on so many different media formats. It's disgusting. And quite frankly, I think that Betamax was superior to VHS, but I digress. But anyway,
Well, I think that, to quickly kind of sum up the Betamax versus VHS war, it kind of won for a couple reasons.
Porn.
One, porn, Disney. Also, VHS was cheaper and it could record longer. It was really like the recording, like you could record longer on a VHS tape. The quality was worse, but it was the recording time that mattered. Remember, this is the 80s. Like, ATVs were like 20, 30 years away. So it looked slightly worse, but the TV, it didn't really matter that much.
It's like the manga versus comics, where manga can get them out fast and cheap, But like Sony of Japan, yeah, they've made a few gaffes here and there. But I mean, I agree with Shiro about the exclusivity stuff. Dude, you're selling hardware. That PS5 came out, 3-4 years ago? I have no desire for the PS5. I don't give a shit. There's no killer apps for it. There's no reason for anyone to buy it. Yeah, the latest PS5. Like, that's the same thing with the Xbox Series X. Like, these things are like the latest, greatest hotness. And they're selling the consoles, but they're not selling the killer apps. People didn't buy an NES. They bought Super Mario Brothers. People didn't buy the original Xbox. They bought Halo.
The worst thing that Sony could do, which is something I'm actually happy with, is they're starting to put their exclusives on PC. Like for example, why would I buy Spider-Man? Why would I buy a PS5 for Spider-Man 2 when I know that it's just going to come to PC in like X amount of years anyway?
Yep.
Like Ghost of Tsushima is probably going to come to PC at some point. Same like why would I buy it?
Yeah, that's the reason why Nintendo consoles are making gangbusters, because they put the gated garden in place and they said, if you want to play a Mario game, the only place you can play it is on a Nintendo console. We already made that mistake with Philips CDI and it blew up in our face. We've learned our lesson. If you want to buy Zelda, Mario, or any of our own first-party brands, it's on our platform and our platform only. And
that's a bigger reason why Nintendo has been successful. Like the Wii U, without Nintendo's IPs, the Wii U would have sold 2 million consoles instead of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's being generous.
I mean, people always, are like, why is Nintendo alive today? All things considered. Two reasons. One, they are the wacky kind of company that loves innovation for innovation's sake. Sometimes it tanks.
To
Think of the Wii
to a
U.
detrimental degree.
And other times it just skyrockets and prints money. Think the 3DS, the original Wii, and now the Switch. And number two is they never made the mistake of multi-platting anything that was theirs and theirs alone. If you want to play now, other multi-plat stuff, if it comes to Nintendo, people will go gangbusters for it. But if you want to play Nintendo games, you gotta buy the Nintendo console.
Yep.
And that is what has kept them alive and basically made them one of among the richest gaming companies on the planet.
Well, they're also the only console manufacturer that sells their console at a profit because they keep things cheap. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox are actually sold at a major loss. And during the lockdown, when we had all of those scalpers, which still exists, like it's still kind of difficult to get PS5s and Xbox Series X's in some retailers. But
if you want one,
yeah, I don't want one. But like a lot of people have just kind of given up too. They're like, we're jumping through hoops to give people our money. But the problem though is all those consoles were bought and they're out in the wild, but they're not selling software, and that's where console manufacturers make their money is software.
The razor blade model. The razor blade model.
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it, man. Like we've got a bunch of razors out there with no razor blades. This is hurting Sony.
All right, so
Yeah,
for those who don't aware, the razor blade model is like like with the whole like Gillette, they'll sell you the blade for $10, which is really cheap. But then you'll need to buy the blade. So you want a lifelong customer. So like that's why it's called the razor blade model.
Yep. Yeah. How many of those the shavers or whatever do you have that have come because they're like super cheap? They're like in a pack bundled with a bunch of razors.
Jared, what's your take on like the whole console thing with like Xbox and Sony?
In terms of what? I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. What's up? No,
what were you Chris, can you kind of catch him up on like what you were saying?
Yeah, I was just saying that. So basically, Sony's American branch, their CEO just retired, and they're returning back to Japan. Their CEO will basically be Japanese again. And I was saying that a lot of the mistakes that they're making, or at least the American side made with all their censorious bullshit and all this stuff, was these garbage games that none of them were killer apps. There's no reason to own an Xbox Series X or PS5.
Well, here's the thing. Going off of that, Chris, there was the Xbox Series X should have been like a top. Well, it should have been top selling because here's why. Because remember, originally it was launching at the exact same time as Halo. That was big. That was a big thing they were celebrating. Then, of course, Halo got like delayed because 343 is 343. But the point is, the point is, here's the thing. It really, I say this with every single pop cultural thing that I cover, at least on my channel too. Microsoft arguably owns the games that defined gaming for a generation because they have Halo. When you look at how much, at least of the shooter genre, Halo influence, there's no excuse for the troubles that Microsoft has had selling this console. That there is none whatsoever. But the problem is they gave their flagship IP to a studio that has demonstrated ever since. It's not like they had like one flub. No, it's every single game there is a flub. They give it to a single vastly incompetent studio that somehow screwed up one of the most iconic franchises in Halo. It is disgusting.
Yeah, the thing with 343 was, they struggled at first, and we gave them a pass because, they're just starting out. They're trying to get the ropes of Halo. No, like that grace period is past.
Yeah.
Like,
the minute they promised split screen multiplayer and then said, now we're not going to put that in, I literally uninstalled my game. And that was my first, and I made a short of it. That was my first short to reach 1,000 views because I was like, hey, I fixed Infinite for you.
Yeah.
Wow. See, like, Jerome, go ahead.
Yeah, here's the thing that a few people understand is that 343 didn't get its start when it first got its hands officially on the reins of Halo. It started its work on Halo back when Bungie still had it, because they were basically like not necessarily a subsidiary company, but they were basically an assisting company
Yeah.
doing some of the
Outsourced,
assets. So their flubbing from the very beginning was entirely unforgivable, because they should have understood from the get-go what the actual heck they should have been doing.
Yeah, because guess what they had? You were still a subsidiary of Bungie. You just copy what they do. That's what everyone wanted. That's why Reach was so successful, because it was literally Bungie's Halo all packaged into one. Then
I thought Reach was the last Bungie Halo.
No, it was, but it was the most complete. Like the way I see it, it's the most complete summation of why Bungie's Halo was perfect. Then they somehow flub putting every Halo campaign into a single package, all the maps. That should have been a full-on sell. But it had, short of Cyberpunk, Nick, that had the most disastrous launch for a game, to the point, and by the way, so with the multiplayer for MCC, do you know how bad it got?
How bad?
Oh, it was bad.
Oh, wait.
Oh, bad.
Allow
bad.
me. And this happened again with 5. In the actual Halo tournaments, the game would crash.
Yep. They actually had it recorded.
MLG tournaments.
That reminds me of Warcraft 3 Refunded.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nick,
yeah.
that is the reason why they gave everyone ODST on MCC, because they were like, we're so sorry. And we're like,
we're so sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
No, Chris, do you remember when Warcraft 3 Refunded was doing this thing? They had tournaments and they were actually doing a finals, and they got disconnected twice.
Yeah, and this is the folly of games as a service. Because if that was the original Warcraft 3 that did not require you to be on some shitty network that connected to some external server to play a single player game or a local area network game, this issue would have been completely averted.
Oh, and fun fact, Nick.
Back LAN parties.
Here's another fun fact. I don't know if you know this. Did you know that Infinite was supposed to be the base Halo game for 10 years, and they were just going to add on to it as they go along, like DLC and campaigns? Well, that's not happening now.
Jared.
Dude, and those graphics were shit, man.
Jared,
the campaign was actually really good.
When we hang out, we're having a night where we do an old school Halo LAN party.
Yeah, yes. I do that all the time, dude.
No, we're gonna have 3 different Xbox 360. They're all gonna be in different rooms.
As long as you buy the Xbox, because I'm not purchasing 3 360s.
But no, we're gonna network them all together. We can Xbox if you want.
Throughout the entire house, maybe in the entire neighborhood. We'll put this all spread out. But
if you want to do Halo 1 or 2, I actually have an original Xbox. I can bring mine.
It gets to the point where when my friends and I play Halo, we don't even touch, and it's not even installed on my Xbox now. All I have is the MCC, because believe it or not, they fixed it. Mm-hmm. The only reason why I have remotely some hope for Infinite is because the dude that they moved to oversee the repair of Infinite is the dude who literally saved MCC. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, at least you got someone that knows the experience. But here's the thing. You also screw up a live action Halo adaptation that everyone was actually anticipating for 10 years. By the way, there was almost 100 rewrites of that freaking script. They bring in people who brag about not playing the games. And by the way, it shows. Then they have on average, I would say about 30 minutes of action in essentially 9 hours of Halo content. Are you kidding me?
You don't like Master Cheeks?
I don't like that type of action. I want people to get shot.
No. See, and it's that's kind of a problem we have. It's so widespread. Is that you have these creators? They come out and they say, "Oh, I'm not a fan of it," blah blah blah, and they try to justify it. I actually got into a conflict with Simon Bennett, the showrunner of Power Rangers. That.
Of course you did.
Yes, I'm a firebrand. We all know that. I mean, I'm literally a phoenix. So, Like,
Game Boy.
because like Simon's been making some really stupid remarks. Like he said, Power Rangers should get away from its tokusatsu roots. Like what?
What?
No.
God, no. Tokusatsu was what made Power
That's a terrible
Rangers
idea.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so they're gonna try and stop using Sentai footage. And like for Cosmic Theory, they have these really, really terrible suits. And it's like, oh, it's because Hasbro wanted to do cheaper figures. Like, what the like? Come on.
Yeah, these are creative decisions being made from business decisions.
Like,
So
I'm
the
telling
other
you,
way around.
Nick, I'm gonna explain why they do this. You ready? Because they want to be able to put on their resume, I made an impact on Power Rangers or
I left
Halo
my
or
stink on it.
Marvel.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, you see that all the time, like the movie business. Like a producer comes and he's like, "Oh, she should be a blonde," and like, wait, why? Like, just make her a blonde, so that
Yep.
way this producer, when he takes his mistress out to the movie theater, like, oh yeah, you see how she's blonde? I'm the one who did that.
Yep, I told you about some of the concept artists I worked with, right? Where they're like putting their stink on like a like when an IP is given to you, it's your job. You're now the custodian. You should be respecting the source material.
The worst
And
thing you could say is, I want to put my own stamp on it. Like,
Yeah.
that's how we got the last fart bender.
Well,
Oh,
like that's
God,
how we
yeah.
got Thundercats.
Oh, Nick's
Roar.
favorite movie? Oh no, that's how we got his favorite show.
Oh, no.
Not my fault you can't appreciate good fantasy.
Jared, you have a right to be mad at me for what I did earlier, but like that's crossed the line.
That is a
I'm just
bridge too
talking
far, my
about-
friend.
I'm just talking about how peak Starfield is.
Oh.
Not my fault you can't appreciate good.
It's like dunking them in water, like.
I'm being
Where's the
waterboarded
money,
right now. behind the
Lebowski?
scenes. I'm in Zero Dark 30 right now.
Fuck off, Bud.
You're not in Zero Dark 30. You're in Big Lebowski. Where's the money, Lebowski?
Yeah.
Remember,
Hold on, I think I found it. down
remember,
there.
I ain't locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
Oh God.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So it's like, yeah. So obviously we're starting to see a bunch of stuff, like trailers starting to come out. Do you guys hear that like Echo and Daredevil have been shelved?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Oh no.
Really?
Yeah, I saw the video from Razor Fist. And I'm like, oh, and he literally had to say, I need a moment. Talk amongst yourselves.
I'm a little bit clamped.
See, the problem is, Disney's been trying to do this with a couple different things, like Echo, Riva. It's like they're trying to shove these like new characters down our throats that like literally no one wants, no one cares of. It's like the whole entire Obi-Wan was basically a pilot for a Riva show. And remember how you notice how that pretty much went nowhere, like especially after Hasbro tried to kickstart a Riva lightsaber and it fudded.
Yeah, well, not only that, the shows that they promise is like, oh, Obi-Wan is going to be all about Obi-Wan's days in the desert. And what did it end up being? It was the Princess Leia show with Obi-Wan kind of fuddling around in the background.
Dude, it was so stupid. But again,
When
it's
you
a
look
straight
at
white male
like
that
the
used to
original
be-
plot for that, like what was supposed to happen, by the way, is Obi-Wan was actually supposed to be with Commander Cody, and Cody was supposed to essentially, when he goes and saves Leia, he tells Cody, guard that boy.
Okay, all right. Here, I'm gonna cook for a second. Here's what the plot of the Obi-Wan movie should have been. Okay?
that too.
Yeah.
And let me cook, because I'm going to quote something that happened in Rebels, by the way. So the movie is basically the final duel between Maul and Obi-Wan. Okay. So basically, Obi-Wan finds out that Maul is on Tatooine trying to hunt him down. So the whole movie, Obi-Wan is running from Darth Maul. He's been on the run for 20 years. Okay. He's been running from training Luke. He's been running from everything. You start to see the theme I'm building up here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the finale of the film is him, I will not run anymore. So he actually goes to fight fight Maul, and it is more than a 5-second fight. Dear God, Rebels, I hate you for what you did.
Well, also what you can make it where Maul finds out that Luke is there, so Obi-Wan has to actually take action, otherwise Luke is gonna die.
Yeah, because the problem I have with Obi-Wan is like in A New Hope, it's implied they haven't seen each other since Mustafar, and I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Like when I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master. Like that whole thing was like he made a mistake on Mustafar. Like he was a learner. Now he's a master. It's like that whole scene has so much more of an impact. They haven't seen each other for 20 years. Having seen each other like 5 years ago, it just really doesn't work.
No, it really doesn't. It cheapens the whole experience of. I mean, honestly, that's my big problem with Disney being the head of Star Wars. Because, yeah, sure, they've got the budget to do some really cool stuff because it's Disney. They've got more money than most countries. But the thing is they don't understand the lore to the point where, the things that have impact maintain their impact or create that impact. They don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part that we've harped on multiple times, everybody has, but I'm going to beat this dead horse because it deserves beating, is Kathleen Kennedy had this massive fan and George Lucas created body of works that they could have just dipped from the get-go, and all they had to do
Are
was
you talking
adapt
about
it.
when she said we don't have an extended universe?
Yeah, we don't have any. Yeah,
like I'm sorry, but like that is like the most stupidest. I guess Kathleen Kennedy of all people knows about the extended universe. Come on,
you were there since the very beginning. And by the way, no, it did not ruin Maul because what the Clone Wars did, it took a throwaway villain and expanded him.
No, I'm talking the thing that ruined Rebels. It was Rebels. It was the final battle between Obi-Wan.
It was very anticlimactic, particularly coming from someone that watched Clone Wars, because I'm like, that's it?
Like literally, like right up until the moment where he finds out that Obi-Wan is on Tatooine. I'm fine with everything up until that moment. Mm-hmm. It's just when he goes to Tatooine and they have that battle. Like, that should have been a movie. That would have been a great movie.
By the way, one of the cool parts about Ahsoka, and I've told this to Nick, is that in the show, they show, like, flashbacks to, like, the Siege of Mandalore and the Battle of Teth, and you really get to see, because live action, you see how young Ahsoka was in, like, the Siege of Mandalore, because when you're watching it in the animated cartoon, she looks to be more like an adult, but she was actually, like, 16.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the cool parts of that show adds.
Yeah.
Well, you guys realize that in the hiring process of these writers, it actually was listed as a red flag for the hiring execs, or at least the recruiters, if the person knows the source material.
That was Marvel, and I'm like, I looked that up because I'm like, no, there's no way they would.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait a minute.
There's no way, and it got the backlash was so bad that the person actually had to clarify it, but he ended up doubling down. And I'm like, so wait a second. You're telling me that if I were to apply to Marvel Studios, if I ever had like any inclination to do so, which I don't, but if I ever wanted to, it's considered bad if I know the stories that the people want to. So in other words, if I know your own IP, that's bad.
Yeah.
Say what you will about DC. Like, DC has a lot of problems, but one problem it doesn't have, DC has a reverence for its source material.
They keep bringing in people that know that at least know the comics to a degree.
Like, even with the James Gunn stuff, like, they made it very clear we're adapting these storylines. Like, they made it very they show a love for the source. Like you can have all sorts of problems with how James Gunn is running it. One thing you can't complain about is they still respect the source material.
Nick, they literally the best thing. The thing I noticed after James Gunn came on. I'm critical about him all the time, but there's one good thing. At the end of every trailer for these movies, they show you these are the graphic novels that this is based on. Go find it at the local comic book store.
Yeah, like I'm gonna pull up the Aquaman trailer and I'm gonna go like right to the end.
Go right to the end. It should be in the one on the DC channel. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, and that they started releasing like these little book packs, if you will, that have like all the books and stuff. But and Keeley, DCAU, haha. But
Yeah, the animated.
yeah,
stuff. Oh
I
my
have
God.
problems with the animated universe, but some of it is good. Keep going, Nick. All right, I mean, you could have just hit the arrow key, but that works. Yeah, see, right there,
Yep.
there.
See? Yeah, this is on the official DC app, you know.
Or
Yeah.
at the comic shop or the bookstore. This is what you could be doing because you could be growing
Yep.
both sides of your business. Because I don't know
Yep.
if Marvel Studios realizes this, but they're based on comic books.
Well, Marvel is trying to sell what they call a lifestyle brand. They're not trying to sell comics anymore.
Which is stupid.
It is. It's
DC's
absolutely
gotten
asinine.
back to selling comics.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, what a lot of these executives don't realize is that there is infinitely more money by legitimately cross-platforming your media source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. You want people to go to the movies and watch the movies, but you can always say, hey, look at the source material and here's where to read it so that you kind of understand what's going on. You can see where we've adapted things and where things are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's the biggest and most genius thing to do, because not only will it drive people to watch the TV shows or movies you're creating, but then people understand, hey, there's more that they could not adapt from the source material. If I want more, they've told me exactly where I can go and find it, what it is, and I can pay more money for it.
Yeah, honestly,
it's an easy slam dunk that I don't know if it's a refusal of it or if it's just ignorance. I'm assuming it's a refusal of, lining their own pockets with easy money.
And be honest, it's ignorance. It's ignorance. But the
Well,
thing
yeah,
about it,
oh, go ahead, Jared.
But the thing about it is that they want to promote a lifestyle brand. But what they don't realize is that they should be promoting, like you said, Jared, every avenue to possibly advance that lifestyle brand, especially where this stuff comes from.
Yep. Well, that's, in my opinion, what they should be doing for a marketing, for promotional, is when they send these movie theaters these life-size standees of the characters or these big posters and stuff to put up, they should also send free, like, first 5 pages or first 15 pages or whatever, copies of the comic to hand out to people that buy the tickets.
They sometimes do that. In fact, when Justice League first came out, and I'm talking about the version of the movie that doesn't exist, some theaters gave you like a little code to unlock a digital version of the first issue of the Justice League comic that the movie's based on. So they could do that, or they could just because remember when the Yu-Gi-Oh movie came out, yes, I'm referencing that atrocity. they gave you Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah, that's
what
you
just
something
about to talk
tangible.
about that.
Jared, speaking of movies that didn't exist, you see that post I made where like they showed a clip from the movie Dominion, and I said, in Diana's defense, this never happened.
Yes, I like that post, Nick. Thank you. But go ahead.
But like Jared was saying, when Yu-Gi-Oh! Millennium World came out, as garbage of a movie as it was, it at least made the effort to get you interested in, the card game that was their mainstay.
They were exclusive cards, at least in my case. You couldn't get these cards anywhere else, so they encourage you. So they're using all avenues of the company, of the product line, to promote, to sell their products.
Okay.
That's called actually doing their jobs.
Who remembers going to see Pokemon the first movie and getting that holographic Ancient Mew card? Oh dear God!
Nick, what you have to realize, Nick, is that no one here remembers the Stone Age like you do.
Oh God!
Ouch!
I had the Pokemon movie.
The oldest guy here.
So Jared has been permanently banned.
Thanks, Gramps.
Oh shit!
But yeah, like those movie promos, those.
And
go
Keely,
back.
that's the one part where I'm going to disagree with you on that. The one movie that's better than Justice League is Captain Marvel.
Which Captain Marvel?
The one that you reviewed for April Fools.
The one with Cheese Larson.
All right.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, when you want, and this is holographic too. So like when you went and saw Pokemon the first movie, this is like a promo card you got. Like if you had this, you were the king of the playground. Like dear God.
Wow.
Yeah. Who else remembers this?
Man, I remember hearing about it. I've never actually seen it though.
Behold,
I remember.
the Egyptian gods. I have Slifer somewhere, but the point is,
we got a badass here.
brother.
Look out, we got a badass.
My older brother used to have all the pieces of Exodia, and then his
by the way,
stepmother threw him in
I
the
can
fire.
actually use this card in a duel, mind you.
Cheater.
Because it's kind of funny. I ordered the set, and when you look at the Amazon review, this mother, probably a Karen, had posted that, oh my gosh, my son was. She gave it a 1 star because he couldn't use this in a duel against all of his little friends. And I'm like, it says on the card this can't be used in the duel, including in the preview image. What were you doing?
Yeah, I remember one time some friends were playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and the guy was running a Exodia deck. He actually drew all 5 pieces of Exodia on the first turn, and it's like Exodia says to go F yourself.
You know what I would do? I'm kind of an asshole. When I would shuffle my deck, I would put all my strongest cards in the top and not shuffle that part. So I immediately got Blue Eye Shining White Dragon.
All right, if you know where this is from, 1, you're old. 2, you had great taste in Game Boy Color games.
Luckily, I'm not old, but I still had good taste in Game Boy games. And by the way, I had a Game Boy Advanced.
This was a promo card that when you got Pokemon, the trading card game for Game Boy Color, this was a promo card you got for it.
Mm-hmm. But going back to it, that's my thing. I'm like, you had with all of these IPs specifically, with superhero IPs, particularly comic books, you literally have a built-in marketing thing for the movies that you can use, because here's what you can do. You don't even have to make it like a reprint of a comic. Do what Yu-Gi-Oh did and make it exclusive comics that you can only get at the movie theater.
Exactly.
Sorry,
Yeah.
my mind is sorry, Jared. My mind is still in late 90s Pokemon stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
So, who remembers the card Misty's Tears?
Wait, what?
Oh, I used to have that. Yeah.
The Japanese version. So, if you were a kid back then, trust me, this was a very forbidden card.
Yep. Very verboten.
Yeah. Sorry, my mind is kind of in that late 90s.
But
one of my favorite things was, so here's the thing you got to realize. When Pokemon the first movie came out back in America, Gen 2, Gold and Silver, was already released in Japan. That's why the very first episode of Pokemon had Ho-Oh in it. That's why season 2 of Pokemon, you had Togepi. That's why even Pokemon the first movie, you started to see the Gen 2 Pokemon pop up. That was such an amazing time to be a Pokemon fan. In the Orange Islands, Tracy had a Meryl. Sorry, my mind is in a weird place right now.
But yeah, make it an exclusive. Essentially have. But what you have to do, make it a really in other words, wanted artist, like a Jim Lee variant cover or something like that. Someone that people will show up for, and then guess what? People will show up just for the comics.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how you get people to buy a ticket.
I mean, who remember the teeny Beanie Baby craze? Sorry, my mind is in that late 90s. My head is in the late 90s right now. But for those who haven't heard, the teeny Beanie Baby craze, there were people who came to McDonald's because like they're part of the Happy Meals,
Mhm.
who just wanted the toys. They threw out the Happy Meals.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
but and that's the thing. That's how you can get a lot of the, like do this particularly for like a movie that you don't have a lot of confidence in, or like that's an obscure character like Blue Beetle. Because when people here's what you have to realize: even if people are not comic book collectors or fans, if you start giving away free stuff, people will show up.
All right, I gotta step away for a second, guys. So please hold down the fort for a few minutes.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, no problem.
all you do is you grab like, hey, Jim Lee, or this would never happen, but Ethan Van Sciver, can you draw us up a quick like a variant cover for like Justice League or Wonder Woman or Blue Beetle even, and
Or
then
even
we'll just
Alan
hand this
Moore.
out. It doesn't even have to be like a full size comic. It could be like Chris said, like a 5-page story, just a short book, just to get you featuring the character and the version of the character in the movie. That's just like them doing stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel see, here's the thing. It's so obvious information, but for some reason these companies are run by people that don't understand logic.
No, they're what it is you have your bean counters, your corporate execs making these decisions instead of the creatives.
Yeah.
And they're like, you realize the cost that it's gonna cost us X amount of money up front to print out these EVS covers of Blue Beetle or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, we don't want to risk that.
the
You know, and it's like,
counters-
yeah,
Sorry,
they don't
Chris.
understand. These businesses are so myopic that they don't understand that in order to make long-term greater gains, you need upfront investment. But they're more
Like for
concerned with
example, Power
short-term
Rangers.
gains.
Like for example, I brought the Power Ranger stuff. They literally redesigned the suits to make them look really like simpler, easier to paint. But what they don't realize is the TV show is the tail that wags the dog. These people, they watch the TV show, they see it, they want the figures. If you make the costumes look bland, you'll have a drop of demand for people wanting the figures. And you know, and it's kind of like a knock-on effect where like if the show is lesser quality because you're just cutting back, they're gonna have lower toy sales. So like that, like let's say you saved like that 50 cents per figure you saved. Like let's say you would have saved 5 million overall. Well, congratulations, you just lost 10 million because of that decision.
Yep, or more. Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically these bean counters, you know, they live on sunk cost fallacy. They see these little itty bitty, you know, cents that are in red, and you know they count it up, and they're all like, oh, we're gonna lose, you know, X amount of money if we do it like this, and they never realize that if you put in the extra effort, yeah, sure, you're losing cents initially, you know, or maybe dollars. But eventually, because people will gravitate towards quality of product, regardless of what it is, it will make money.
Now,
It
granted,
might not be immediately. It might not be immediately, but it will always gain a cult following one way or another.
And that right there, I got news for you. That right there is why I don't think the James Gunn universe is going to last that long, because I've seen what Warner Brothers does, and they are that, but to a degree as to yet unseen.
Because remember, this is a studio that literally chopped up Justice League so that they could have more showings in the theater so they could make their quarterly bonus.
Yep.
That is how short term. That is how nearsighted they are. They cared more about the quarterly bonuses than the long-term viability of the product.
Yep. Yeah, that's you just nailed it, dude. It's I see it across all of these properties, all of everything. It's or businesses in general. It's about that short-term gain, especially if you're a publicly traded company, to appease your shareholders. And
gotta have the growth. It's like you always got to be like you always got to be showing growth every year. And if you don't know growth, you're a failing business. No. It used to be like you could have a company make $3 million a year in profit, and like that's amazing. Like you're stable, you make but no, you have to grow. And the problem is growth. Like this growth economics is basically like, oh well, we'll cut down costs that we show growth. But you're literally cutting off your foot in order to spite your face.
Well, we're making better horses instead of automobiles, you know. And the other thing is we've reduced our fiscal assessment now. So instead of it being an annual thing, we're like, okay, what's our year end? You know, like year over year. Now we have fiscal year quarters. So it's like quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, which gives you even less time to, like, if you get multiple consecutive losses in a year. So like say 3 out of your 4 fiscal quarters were down, you didn't get your growth. Well, guess what? All of a sudden your shareholders panic. They sell all your shit and your company goes through the toilet. Everybody gets laid off.
And then the the shorters come in, and like that just makes it even worse, you know.
Well, what sucks is if that fourth quarter was where the payoff was, where all of that investment that caused the loss of growth in those first 3 quarters blew up in gangbusters in that fourth quarter, which is a realistic possibility. It happens all the time, you know, but that requires.
I mean, that is especially with businesses that revolve around Christmas sales, like toys, video games.
Exactly.
Like a lot of these industries are seasonal. Like, because remember, like, because like most of your why do you think all the big video games come out in the fall?
Yep, exactly.
And here's the other half of the coin here. The bean counters are putting pressure on, you know, the creatives to grow. But what a lot of people don't see behind the scenes, or if they do see, they ignore, is the people who put pressure on the bean counters, which are the investors. They're the ones who are always pushing for more growth because they're always desiring ROI, which, you know, return on investment. They only want growth because they want to see their money back. And if they don't see their money back immediately, they're going to basically wash their hands and, like you said, sell the stock off. And before you know it, before the company can even, you know, turn a profit or, you know, see its release, it's gone under because the investors got gun shy.
I mean, like, that's exactly what happened with the X-Men back in the 60s, where because of like the sales reporting, they didn't know the sales of a product until 6 months after release. So like they canceled X-Men, but little did they know that like 4 months afterwards, the sales had actually started to come up. So they basically shot themselves in the foot with X-Men. Like, this is the original run. We're not talking on Candy. Jared, do you remember that?
Yeah, not the good one, because remember Lee and Kirby invented the X-Men. I think it was Lee and Kirby, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I read the first issue. It's not the X-Men that we would probably know, and
it did a decent job setting the foundation.
Yeah, it did. Luckily, Claremont was talented enough and respectful enough to go off of the foundation and not like make up his own stuff like a modern writer would do.
Yeah, like you can tell that like Claremont's favorite character was Jean Grey, because like Jean Grey in the Lee run is really a nothing character.
She's just like, oh, she's the girl on the team. What's up, mercenary?
I'm like basically Jean Grey's job in the original X-Men was to faint and to be perved on by Xavier.
Yeah.
You know, and in the Claremont run, she became such a more nuanced character. Like, obviously, we did like the Phoenix Saga and whatnot, but yeah, it's just respect for the characters. It's like, even when you had these creators who did like these top to bottom, like Frank Miller, when he redid Daredevil in the 80s, you know, he still had a respect for the character, and he did it out of love for the character. You know, but all these other creators, they want to do like these top to bottom reboots. You know, they don't have a love or respect for the character, and it shows. Like, look at Power Rangers. You know, it's like they want Power Rangers to be this, but it's not, and they're trying to make it this, but you know, or whatever, and it just and it's like these fail, and they just write it off.
Yeah, well, do you guys remember the reboot of Thundercats in like the early 2000s?
Was that the good one?
The good one. The good one.
Oh,
As somebody that was there for the original Thundercats back in the 80s, I can honestly say, and I know this is probably going to ruffle some feathers, but I found the reboot to be a vastly superior product. They had a better fleshed out story. The characters were better developed. Everything about it was actually better planned, whereas the original was just designed to sell the toys. So too was this, but at least they had a stronger kind of foundation. They had progressive storytelling, which was something kind of unheard of. I mean, episodic storytelling was the only way to go back in the 80s. So they had they basically had this procedural story that played out through an entire season, and they canceled it just when it was like, oh my God, this is like, I was watching it with my nephew, and it was like, this is awesome. And then they just, what happened? Are there no more episodes? And it found out that it was because their first series of toys, like they had like round one of the, like 4 figures or whatever, didn't sell. They're like, nope, we're gonna scrap all this shit and make that stupid Lego thing. What would they call it? Something Jago or
you know why they canceled the original run of Young Justice, right?
Mm-mm.
Jared, let it
They
rip.
couldn't sell toys on it, or like it was really tough to sell toys on it. Then they brought it back and wokeified it.
What I heard is the show was appealing to girls, and back then it was like Young Justice was a boys' toy show, and because girls were getting into it, they couldn't sell, kind of thing. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, that was the same reason that they did that with Teen Titans. I remember
God,
being really mad about that. And Danny Phantom actually.
Awesome. Oh, sorry.
But like another like victim of the bean counters, like Tron Legacy or Tron Uprising, the cartoon. Who watched Tron Uprising?
I didn't even know it came out.
Yeah,
Wait, you've never heard of?
I didn't even see it.
You've never seen Tron Uprising?
No,
not Uprising, but I did see.
Oh my God!
Is it all like? Is it like reboot? Is it all CG 3D and stuff?
All right, I'm gonna share my screen, but like, oh dear God, like it's really friggin' good. Like, take a look at some of these pictures.
Oh damn!
Oh wow,
looks good.
So, it's the stars a young guy named Beck, voiced by Elisha Wood, by the way, and he's mentored by the original Tron, voiced by Bruce Boxletter.
Oh damn!
Like,
so OG Tron.
Like, just look at this. Look at this. Wow. I believe they did it. You can find it on Disney Plus. Like, it's really good. Like, the music is obviously Daft Punk inspired. Just look at that. Like, he becomes a new serious
dude.
But
Joe Catapano's got to see this. If you've ever seen his book.
So it ran for 13 episodes. And it ended right as they were about to do a revolution kind of thing. Like, it's one of those, like, oh my God, this is where it ends? And, like, yeah, there's even an episode where they bring in Cora, and it's voiced by Olivia Wilde.
And they just blue ball the episode. Like,
Like, that was actually a really good episode. Like, yeah. Like, seriously, look how good this looks.
Yeah, that looks cool. It looks like cell shaded.
Yeah. It's CG, but they nailed the look. And, like,
yeah.
It's CG, but it doesn't look like creepy CG. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's CG that ages well because it's stylized.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, look at that. Look at that. Like,
oh, damn.
Yeah, it's
like,
good.
They got the look down. Like, oh my God. It's so good. But yeah, like, this is one of those ones where it's like it ends right as like something big is about to happen. You're like, no. Yeah, that's
that's how the Thundercats thing ended too. It was like right on a cliffhanger, and they're like, "Yep, screw you, it's not coming out."
It's like Legends of Tomorrow, and people are like, they can't end the show. They started a petition, and then it didn't work.
Oh,
I mean, I think they did the same thing with the Green Lantern show, the 3D animated one.
I don't think they ended on a cliffhanger. I do. They ended in a way where they could continue.
It was a Gynax ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which, by the way, that Green Lantern show was amazing.
By the way, I am a huge fan of Tron Legacy. So
yeah, I love that, dude. The soundtrack on that is amazing.
Oh yes.
I own the OST for Legacy because it's some of Daft Punk's best work.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I even got the remix album for Tron Legacy where they got Pretty Lights
reconfigured
to remix their entire album.
Oh shit.
So even though Jared Leto is doing Tron like whatever, I'm still gonna go see it because I'm a huge fan of Tron, and like I don't care if this is crap. I just want to see Tron. By the way, I'm a fan of Tron Legacy. Like the first Tron is cool, but like Tron Legacy is really what I love.
Yeah. I actually I didn't even like Tron when I first saw it because I was really young. And then I saw Reboot, that Canadian series on Saturday morning. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And my dad's like, yeah, that's just Tron.
Reboot.
Oh dear God, I was thinking about bringing that up of like crappy reboots that totally miss the mark. Like who remembers like Reboot Guardian Code, where it's like, let's take Reboot and turn it into a tokusatsu show. Let's completely miss the point of Reboot.
Yeah, well, Reboot was basically Tron in with like 3D characters and stuff. So when Tron Legacy came out, I'm like, oh, dude, I gotta see this. I loved Reboot. I rewatched Tron. It made me appreciate it. So when I got to Tron Legacy, I'm like, yeah, these guys hit the nail on the head. I don't know why this movie didn't perform as well as it did, because it's absolutely amazing.
It underperformed. They didn't really market it that well. First and foremost,
that is peak right there. That is peak.
Oh dear God,
that's almost as good as Starfield.
By the way,
yes, I'm gonna keep bringing that up.
21. You have my eternal envy for having the vinyl of Tron Legacy. I love that album so freaking much.
Oh yeah, I do.
I like
too.
the credit song the best.
For me, my favorite is End of Line. That's like my like whenever I want to like walk like a badass, I always put that song on.
Man. I love Solar Sailor.
Oh yeah.
End of Line is a track that goes on when they're entering the club. It's like whenever I want to just like swagger on in.
Yeah.
So
you're telling me, Nick, do you if you do that and someone's waiting for you, do you have them stand up and go, the game has changed, Phoenix Press? That look is the answer right there. There you go.
The game has changed, son of Flynn. Like, oh my God.
The game has changed, Bird of Fire Press.
Yeah. So if you're Phoenix, would you be orange lit or would you be blue or white?
All I know is I fight for the users.
Or lime green.
Oh yeah, or lime green.
Lime green.
Or purple. Oh wait.
Because the
game has changed, son of Flynn.
There you go.
Yeah. I had to. I'm sorry. Like, okay, I had no. Like, also.
Yeah.
But the ISOs were lime green.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way,
the game changer.
Okay, here's my favorite little Easter egg for Tron Legacy. Okay, and you have to be like an uber tech nerd to get this. So they're called ISOs, and it's spelled ISO.
Mm-hmm.
Chris knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
An ISO is a disk image.
Yep.
Okay. The ISOs were made in Flynn's image.
Yep.
Ooh.
It's just and he treats and Flynn acts like the ISOs are his children, like he's there and he's treated like their god. It's there. It is there.
Yeah.
Like ISOs, disk image. They're a digital disk image. They were made in his image, like just like I'm so sorry. I got a little hyper there.
Yeah, they're all pirated games.
Oh dear God! It's like who downloaded Starfield again? Jared.
Yeah, CD dump of a Dreamcast game, and it's now.
I have a stack of Starfield games, and and basically what I'm gonna do is for Nick's birthday, I'm gonna send him a bunch of Starfield discs.
Hey.
Jared, I'm gonna buy you a Dreamcast, and I'm just gonna give you like 50 burnt Dreamcast games.
That I won't play.
Then I'll be sad.
You put your drinks on them.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
All right, so let's wrap up here because I actually got a live stream. I'm gonna be actually hopping on someone else's live stream at 8. So if you want to catch me, I'll be going on to K-pop stream here shortly, and she'll be interviewing me. All right, real quick before we go, I need to let you guys know, Screecher is launching in a week. It is a week from today that I will be launching Screecher number 2, Friendly Fire, on this channel, and it'll be simulcast on Jared's channel, and then maybe we'll have some like really big guests. We're working on some stuff, and then they'll be simulcasting. Nothing's for certain yet. We're still working on it, but I'm just saying we might get some really, really big guests, you know. Jared knows who I'm talking about.
I'm working on it.
He's working on it. So no guarantees, but he's doing his best. And if it doesn't pan out, he'll still have done his best. So yeah, if you have not signed up for to be notified when we go live, make sure you do so. I'm actually getting the link right now. All right. And then, yeah, so like I said, we'll be going live at 6 next Friday, and then we'll be launching at 6:30. So have your wallets open and be ready to back, and look forward to seeing you guys there. Anyone want to say any final words?
I've got a couple of things to plug if you'll allow me.
All right, drop the links in private chat.
Will do.
All right, Chris, Jared.
Wheel of Time is peak.
Oh, damn.
I mean, the books are. I don't know about the show.
No, the show is awesome. They really respect the source material.
Oh, that must have
Also,
hurt coming out.
That hurt me. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not even a
but-
Wheel
wait,
of Time fan. I'm just saying that because I know it pisses Nick off.
Also,
Oh wow!
Oh, that's so beautiful.
we were
I
so
think I
jolly of
actually
you
shed a
mercenaries.
tear.
Yeah.
All right. So, Shiron, go.
All right, so you can find me over at my Twitch page. I'm on hiatus right now while I'm doing a quick rebrand, as I will become a VTuber in a couple months to maybe a year. The Kickstarter link that my friend just pasted, that Nick just pasted, is my friend. His name is Natsukaze, and he is making a, I'd hesitate to say Zelda-like, but it is definitely very reminiscent of it. And the Kickstarter is going live tomorrow for his birthday.
Ooh.
And he's got some really, really good rewards out for people who will back his game. And mind you, I'm a personal friend of Natsu, and even though I see nothing of this, I definitely want to see his game succeed, because based off of what I've seen, it's going to be one of those big indie games. So please go out and show him some love.
That is awesome. So, Chris, any last words?
Yeah, I'll try to find a Tron Legacy / Assassin's Creed poster that I made as a joke when I was working for Ubi.
Well, I'm up against kind of like a wall here, so if it, you know.
Oh no! I'll post it on X after the show.
All
but
right. And then, Jared,
I had a blast, man.
Thank you. Now, Jared, anything else?
Let's see. What can I say to piss off Nick before we log off?
So, everybody, thank you for watching. This has been Nick from the Phoenix Press, and remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones to walk through it.